8:23 right now, and Rod Blagojevich's book is now officially in stores. It is called The Governor.
Joining us to break down the book and whether this book could hurt the former governor's criminal case is political science professor Dick Simpson. What was the most shocking thing you found in this book?
I found the most interesting to be the story, which goes on a great length, about the fallout with his father-in-law, Richard Mell, the alderman, who I know. In fact, I know both of them. That was a long tale of a family dispute that got out of hand, and Rod Blagojevich ends up, of course, blaming Richard Mell for his downfall.
Where did it begin? Where did their dispute begin?
Well, it really began from Blagojevich's point of view with Mell wanting too many favors, wanting too many people to have jobs, wanting too many opportunities, and then he learned, according to the governor, former governor, that Mell was involved in a series of deals that required state approval, the biggest of which was a landfill operation in which his father-in-law had a major investment. And so I think it even was more deep than that. I think Mell thought, since he had made Blagojevich governor and congressman and state legislator, that he would be the governor behind the scenes, and of course that was never going to be.
It sounds also like from this book that he is mapping out a little bit of what his defense will be. I've heard that instead he writes that he wanted to cut a routine political deal in which Lisa Madigan assumed the post in exchange for Michael Madigan's support on expanded health care and public works plans. So his point was, I was going to give that seat, that Senate seat, up so that I could do the government a better service.
Yeah, he was saying the question was, how much do I love Illinois and Illinoisans? Would I be willing to put my enemy in the place in the U.S. Senate in return for passing legislation that would help a lot of citizens? Rod Blagojevich never really took responsibility for what things cost. He points out that he did expand health care and he did other good things, but he ran the debt of the government from $5 billion to $12 billion.
But could it help or hurt his case in terms of whether he tried to sell that seat?
Well, that's a key issue, but it's, you know, the problem with writing a book like this or appearing on television, the reason his lawyers didn't want him to do it, if there's anything in this book that's different from his disclosure in court or in his testimony, he's guilty of perjury, whether he's guilty of anything else or not. So he's got to now keep the story exactly the same, or he's perjured himself, and that's the danger of this kind of thing after you've been indicted.
So after reading that book, do you find him to be more sympathetic or just the opposite, more guilty?
I find him very narcissistic. I find him very grandiose, too full of himself in a way. But you can have some sympathy for him. It's more like a melodrama or pathos. It's not quite the tragedy of Shakespeare that he tries to refer to in the book, and he's not a great hero like Teddy Roosevelt or Lincoln that he compares himself to in the book.
All right, Dick, thanks. I know a lot of people are anxious to read for themselves what is said there, but no bombshell revelation at this point, right?
Only the different twist on things, not something that's totally new.
All right, thanks again.